What's up, boxing fans? Thanks for tuning in to another show. This is Outside the Ropes. I'm doing this video to give some thoughts on the Tarver Dawson rematch. And like I said in my last video, I felt it was a pointless fight. I felt it was gonna go the same way it did last time, and for the most part, it did. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't as boring as the first fight. There was some moments in the fight. There was actually some moments where I thought that Dawson was out of there because he got hit with the uppercut, and I believe it was around the fifth round, and he was holding on to Tarver's arm. He was obviously hurt, and he was trying to gain his composure back. And you know what? There was a couple of other times where Tarver caught him with the clean right hand, snapped his head back. You saw the replays, but for the most part, it was all Chad Dawson. He threw too many punches. He's got good combination punching. He's got decent power, and he's just too much to deal with for somebody like Antonio Tarver right now. What's next for Chad Dawson? Now there's three names in my personal opinion that I'd like to see him in there with. One of them is Roy Jones. Okay, but if that fight was to ever happen, I think that Chad Dawson is going to be too much for Roy Jones, for the simple fact, if I refer back to the Kawasaki fight that Roy Jones had, he didn't. I don't think he's going to do too well, for the simple fact that Chad Dawson he throws too many punches for him, and Roy Jones is a counter puncher. I think he's going to be waiting around to land one big shot, and that big shot is never going to land. If it does, it could hurt Chad Dawson, but we've seen Chad Dawson hurt before, and he always gets up, he sucks it up, and he continues his assault. So if that were to ever happen, I think that Chad Dawson would come out on top. So I don't think that would be really all that exciting of a fight. It'll make Chad Dawson some money, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Now, the next name that I think of is Glenn Johnson. Now, we remember the first fight with Glenn. Glenn caught him with some clean shots. Looked like he was going to knock him out a couple of times in that fight. And some people make the argument that Glenn Johnson won that fight. In my opinion, Chad Dawson won the fight. If you're being a judge of, punches landed, punches thrown, then you got to go with Chad Dawson, because he obviously landed more punches and he threw some pretty good combinations. So you can't just judge the fight off of the few good times that Glenn Johnson had him hurt. Now, would I like to see the rematch? Yeah, I would like to see a rematch of that, for the simple fact that I know Glenn Johnson does have the type of power that can knock out Chad Dawson. But will the fight actually happen? I seriously doubt it, because that's going to be a super big risk for Chad Dawson. You saw in the first fight, in the interviews, when they asked would he give him a rematch, he don't want no more parts of Glenn Johnson. So I doubt that's going to happen. Plus, Glenn Johnson doesn't really he doesn't have a crowd that he's bringing in with him. I mean, us boxing fans will watch the fight, but can that name bring in, people that are not really, die-hard fans of boxing? And I seriously doubt that. And I think that Chad is looking for some money now. I think he deserves it. He hasn't really had the chance to make this really big money that he can make if he gets in there with like Roy Jones or Bernard Hopkins, which is the next guy that I want to talk about that I'd like to see him in there with. And now this would be a big risk for Chad Dawson as well, because we all know when Bernard Hopkins is on a mission, what can happen. When he gets, he might get b-hopped, because Bernard Hopkins is schooling. We saw what he did to Kelly Pavlik. He absolutely destroyed him. It was a shock to the boxing world. I really wasn't surprised. I actually was rolling with Bernard Hopkins, but I wasn't making videos at that time. Wish I was around then to give that prediction, but I was actually rolling with Bernard, and he didn't let me down. He did his thing. Everybody thought that Kelly Pavlik was going to knock him out. It didn't happen. For a minute, I thought Kelly Pavlik was going to get knocked out. So this would be a good fight. I would really enjoy to see this fight. It'll give Chad Dawson a chance to be in there with a legend. He can make some pretty good money. And he has a good shot of winning, because Bernard Hopkins does tend to focus on defense and counterpunching a little bit too much, and he has problems with people who throw a lot of punches as well. Um, look at the Kawasaki fight that Bernard Hopkins has. Even though you can argue that Bernard Hopkins won that fight, um, in my personal professional opinion, if I'm giving it, I would say, yeah, Joe Kawasaki won just based off punches thrown and punches landed. But you know, he also had problems with Jermaine Taylor. Because Jermaine Taylor throws a lot of good combination punching as well. So if this fight were to ever happen, this would be a good fight because you have the OG who can school you, then you have the young cat who wants to prove that he's the best, and that the older fighters need to step aside so that he can claim his place, in boxing history. So that would be my number one pick. That would be the fight that I really want to see. Another fight I would like to see him in with the fourth one would be Joe Kawasaki. But Joe Kawasaki's made it perfectly clear that he's not going to come out of retirement. And if I was him, I wouldn't fight Chad Dawson either, because Chad Dawson, I think, would beat him in my opinion. And Joe Kawasaki retiring undefeated means a lot to him. That's really what he was on his mission to do. So if he doesn't want to lose that, I don't think the smart thing for him to do would come back and fight somebody like him. I mean, I would love to see the fight. I hope he would come back, because in my opinion, I thought that was the last person that he left out there before he retired. But I don't think it's going to happen. So that's my thoughts on Chad Dawson. Now what's next for Antonio Tarver? There's nothing left for him to do. He had his little defining moment in his career when he knocked out Roy Jones. He hasn't really done shit since. He didn't really do all that impressive to me before that knockout. And, fuck it. Maybe he can go make another Rocky movie or some shit. Maybe a Rocky spinoff and call it Wacky One or some shit. I don't know. But, his time is definitely done. He should go ahead and retire. He's too old. He actually, in the third round of this fight, he actually looked like he was tired already before the third round was finished. So I don't know if he was playing possum or what he was trying to do, but he didn't really look too hot. So retirement is definitely on the table for him. I hope he does it. And there's really nothing left for him to really do. So that's my thoughts on that. I want to give a quick shout out to KG21 Carlito. He's got the Chris Carlson is his name. He's got the Rope-A-Dope Report. Also, Boxing Fan 4. I've been wanting to shout him out for a while. I enjoy his videos. He makes some pretty talented, entertaining videos. I like that shit that he did with the piano, that Mayweather and Music one. That was a classic video right there. Man, I enjoyed that. And, you got Boxing Combo. There's just a lot of good shows that inspire me to make these videos. You got Blood Boxing, of course. You got 97 Rough. They got the Leave It in the Ring thing going. I'm going to try to call in if you guys got Mayweather and the Mayweather uncle and Floyd. You are going to be on your show, so I want to call in and be a part of that. So just thanks for the support. Look out for my next video coming soon. Until then, you guys be easy.